It held tight last time, so.
Yeah. So it worked out. All right. To avoid legal snags, you guys are being recorded. Of course, have to go through that. All right. I'm gonna let it record for about a minute and see if my internet doesn't bop, and then we'll go from there. Oh fuck.
We were gonna do it from my place. Oh God damn it. But he has to cook dinner later, and I did not feel like making 2 drives today.
Fuck yeah. Fuck that.
I see.
All right. It looks like my internet's holding. Fuck it. We'll just go from there.
Cool,
All
cool.
right. Everybody ready? Let's see. Gotcha. All right. Let's get this show on the road. Well, welcome. You guys are listening to THC. That's the human condition here on RGVTitanRadio.com, where we are the 956. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, everybody out there in online radio, TV land? Like I said, thank you for tuning in to RGVTitanRadio.com, where we are the 956. This is your host, Ma J. That's your modern Jesus, aka I keep fucking up these AKAs because I ain't coming up with them, along with his wonderful co-hosts.
Abby Bot, back to Abby Bot, no longer Gigglebot.
She doesn't even remember the last episode, ladies and gentlemen. That's
I
just
had
how
to listen to it. I now remember not remember what happened, but I remember listening to it.
Yeah, I can't listen to my own voice. It's annoying. Funny though, because I'm trying to work on a solo like poetry project on my own. So there's that. I'm gonna have to listen to myself.
You're a fool.
But of course, for people tuning in for the first time, like I said, this is THC. That's the human condition, where we talk poetry, philosophy, and art. Where you come for the poetry and stay for the existential crisis. Jumping into our wonderful poetry segment, we'll just get it started. Like always, Abby, do you want to do it first, or you want me to do my
Yeah, I've got one.
Go for it.
All right. This is The Call of the Sea. Oh, siren fair, I still hear your call, though it's been near a century. Why did I fall in love with you when you told me not to? Oh, siren fair, please come back to me. Wrap your song around me. Let me fall into your sea, never to surface again. Let me forget how to breathe air and live on the vitals of the sea. I want to be yours forever since the moment you kissed me. Oh, siren fair, sing your song for me about the little maid you saved who never wanted you to leave.
Oh, that's cute. I like it. It's pretty.
Yeah, some lesbian love poetry for you there.
Lesbian love poetry. That went up by 10 points in my book because you said the word lesbian.
You're terrible. Like, absolutely terrible.
I was like, love poem, cool. Lesbian love poem? Whoa, let me listen to that. Wait, anyways, I got this one piece that I've been working on, like slam little piece I'm trying to do because I'm not that good of a rhymer and stuff like that. But I call it Pillow Bite at the moment. And yeah, so bear with me. I haven't even read it out loud. This will be the first time. Pillow Bite. I severely feel like I don't know. I severely feel like I'm so froze. Severely feel like I should severely feel when I can get out of that early, clearly eerie field and let your ears just peel. She's probably missed the first one, but I still was the first one, the real person, to see another person as a person when other persons don't see you as such. I know this feeling is naturally hurt. It's okay. You're not alone. The wind doesn't blow that way because from where I stay, the wind blows us away from the rest and together so we can put ourselves on the display for the world so we can say this is major, this is secret, this is deep shit, this is not just a weekend favor, this is real, this is something that'll last much longer, something that's so much later, something that's so much stronger, something that's conquered the monsters that live inside the circuitry and why we are so purposely. You hired me to first see what water was spilt, what daughter had guilt because she wasn't loved right, what sunshine never really feels lovely. Where do we take ourselves? Where do we carry ourselves, embrace ourselves before we break our help? Because the only thing we're looking at is the scraping, melting treef that are scathing, bathing in the dissected, unprotected, corrected scathing that we're all losing. We're bruising our inside of the teeth, biting on the same thing. But I'm here to rip your jaws open even when they are clenched tight. I'm here to shed tears. I'm here to stay up all night. I'm here and I'll never leave you. I'll never leave you. I'll always believe you. I'll always leave you. So put the bee in the front of it, put the bumblebee for the birds and the bees that I guess naturally are running from this fucking emotional chemical imbalance that we have, but it's all I've got. So I'm so glad that one day I'll be the best dad and we'll walk from and the shadows won't seem that deep. The shadows won't come up where we're asleep. The shadows weep for me no more because I'm leaving all the fucking graveyards behind and I'm polishing up my mind and I'm leaving you with one thing to know. I'm yours, you're mine. And if the world doesn't know that, that's fine. We decide. Yeah. Little slam piece there. I fucking put it together and I don't know what the fuck's going
Nice.
on with it. It's gonna be part of my hip hop album called Hot Garbage. So exactly what it's gonna be. But
Yikes.
getting on to the part that everybody wants to know, because this is the part where we get to meet people. This is the part where I get to introspectively look at myself and then look at someone else on the outside and wonder how they are such an amazing fucking person. On this episode of THC, that's the human condition, we have Chris Richardson with us, a music producer and musician. How's it going, dude?
Good, good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being a part of it, man. Fuck. So I've heard about you. I've heard about you from Fred, which is our producer here, RGV Titan. I've heard about you from Abby, and Fred even dropped your name when I was telling him about this like hip hop thing. I'm thinking about and stuff like that, saying that you
Cool.
produce music and stuff like that, man. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, just the music stuff, or like what? Or
Hey,
what?
man, anything you want to share with us, man? This is your time to shine right now.
Well, I grew up in St. Louis, and I actually moved here to teach at STC about 9-10 years ago. So the music stuff has always been kind of like my side hustle, side hobby, I guess. And let's see what else. So like for the longest time I was like a techno DJ and a techno producer, and I guess I got sick of the scene more than anything else. So yeah, so I don't really DJ as much anymore. And even with the producing, I don't do techno as much as I used to. It's still electronic, but I'll do other, slower styles, and I've even done vocals once, and now I'm like collaborating with other artists that do more vocals and like producing for them and stuff. So, I guess that's about it, just for the basic rundown, I guess.
Oh, that's cool, man. So how long have you been in music, like just in music in general?
Probably like 22, 23 years, something like that. Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a
Well,
long
this
time to be in
leads
music. Man.
to like a faux pas question, but I gotta know, how old are you?
39.
Wow, you're like at least 8 years older than I thought you were.
Okay. Well, I guess it's better to look younger than,
Yeah, it's
than
funny.
your age than to
We
look
spend
older than your age, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely, for
most
sure.
definitely. We spend our younger years actually trying to look older, and then once we
Yeah.
get older, we spend our older years trying to look younger.
Yeah.
So what got you into music, man? You said 21 years. You said you're 39 at the moment,
I
38.
think, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I mean, yeah, I definitely wasn't one of the cool kids, and so I think I saw, like a lot of musicians as outsiders that kind of became, it, or became somebody, so it was a way to like be an outsider but still be like accepted by more people, or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just also like all the CDs I bought in the 90s and stuff like that, just lots of different, DJs and producers and bands and stuff influencing me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If you said you did a lot of the basically, I guess, electronic music, right?
Yeah.
What was your pull towards that style of music?
I think even at the age, like even in my late teens, I already felt like it was too late to like learn an instrument. and so I guess DJing was it just seemed like something I could do, or or I guess it even seemed like something I could practice, in my bedroom at my at my parents' house without them knowing how bad I was. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause they wouldn't know, you know. And I had no idea what I was doing with DJing when I started. But yeah, and bands just never worked out. Like, the styles didn't gel, or the schedules weren't good, or there were drama and stuff like that. So I guess that's where, like, being a producer and being a DJ just appealed to me. I also, and I guess just electronic music in general, it was more mysterious, more obscure, and more underground at the time than the rock and alternative and metal and hip hop that everybody was into in the 90s. So I liked that it was just one step further of a counterculture, and so I guess that got in, and then I went to clubs and I went to raves and stuff, and really enjoyed those. And so then I was like, okay, I want to do that. So
yeah, I get you, man. It's definitely in the 90s, like the electronic music was so obscure. I would say it was probably like until, what was it, 90s? What was it called during the 90s? Like house music in a sense, I think.
Well, there were a lot of different genres.
Yeah.
But house and techno and drum and bass and
Yeah,
breakbeat.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blew up when I know it blew up a little more before fucking, I believe, Deadmau5 got mainstreamed and stuff like that. It
Right.
used to be one of my big
Yeah.
electronic artists that I like there. Then I know drum and bass blew up with the advent of, what was that called? Dubstep or something? I believe, dubstep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then it blew up even more there at that point and stuff like that. But yeah, the 90s that was the age of like grunge and new metal and all that stuff. So people were just too,
Yeah.
I guess they couldn't see the electronic behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It seems like metal was really big in the Valley for like the last, what, like 20 years maybe, or maybe more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Metal's been
definitely.
huge down here. Like,
And
you can go a
metal's
lot of,
still
like,
huge down here.
yeah,
It
metal and
is
punk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the punk scene down here, and the punk scene has like a deep-rooted history down here. Like, I just want to plug in, like, As I Walk Through the Valley,
Mm-hmm.
like that movie that Charlie Vella did.
Yeah.
That, like, the punk scene is deep-rooted down here.
It's great to hear about, like, some electronic stuff going on and stuff like that, because you don't see a lot of it down here. You see some loopers. I mean, I ran into Luis Cantu, pretty big looper there. He's a funny guy. That was my
Yeah,
first
Luis
experience
is great.
with electronic down here. And the DJing. When you did DJing, were you doing it like freelancing? Were you advertising yourself and stuff like that, or was it for specific things?
Down here it was like, for specific clubs. And then in St. Louis it was clubs, and I guess in St. Louis it was raves mostly too. So I've done clubs and raves.
Nice, man, nice.
So,
Did you ever end up having a moniker for your name, or like a name you went under?
No, I mean, I always did Chris Richardson. But more recently, I guess a year or two ago, I had everything switched to like my full name, which is Christopher Thomas Richardson, just because there are multiple, like, worldwide, there are multiple, like, musical Chris Richardsons, and then I think even one of them was on American Idol. So, like, I got mistaken for that one once, like, on Facebook. This girl, she was all interested. She's like, "Are you the Chris Richardson from American Idol?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And then she didn't say anything else. So, anyway, but so that's I got over the whole, like, DJ name thing pretty quickly. Where I didn't really want to do that, because a lot of my favorite DJs, they used their real names,
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, yeah, I get you. That's pretty cool, man. Like, I've always wanted to have like a DJ name and stuff like that. I mean, which I do now as Modern Jesus.
Cool,
I think
cool.
the DJ names are pretty cool sometimes, and then, but also, standing and being unique with your own name, with your full name is always great too. So you can stand out from all the rest of the Chris Richardsons and such. How you were saying.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of that you feel have been some of your successes so far within your career?
Let's see. I haven't had nearly as many as I would like. I I guess like one of the biggest ones is doing I actually for the City of Mist role playing game.
Mhm.
So that was cool because I am kind of a closet nerd and I'm really into tabletop role playing games. Abby knows that. So
Yes, yes, that's how we
and
met.
yeah, and City of Mist is one of my favorites. So that's a cool role playing game. I'm actually pretty proud of the trailer, like the little Western tune I did with 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 Fred and Ray, um, because I'd never done anything like that before, So I was like, well, I can try it, but I was scared to try it because it's definitely like outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And yeah, between the three of us, like we were able to make it work. And I actually used like these lapel mics, watched a couple of YouTube videos, rigged up the microphones in the garage, and like Fred brought his drums over, so
Yeah.
it was just a cool moment. And there were a lot of people who like, normally wouldn't be interested in the type of music I do at all. And I think it was like a more accessible song than I usually do,
Yeah.
so just kind of Western sounding, I guess. And that was for a movie that never happened because of Corona. so so yeah.
Friggin'
uh,
COVID.
yeah. So it might. I mean, maybe it still will. The last I heard, they were editing it, but I haven't heard anything from them. So that was cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, successes. I mean, I'm trying to figure out the marketing right now, which I'm gaining more traction, getting followers and stuff on Facebook with that. I've been on, I mean, I've been on record labels with my techno.
Yep.
Um, but again, it doesn't feel like a huge win because they're smaller labels typically, um, so yeah, I guess those would be most of the successes I've had. Um, I guess yeah, DJ. I mean, DJing bigger parties and having really like memorable moments with that. Like one of the parties I played at in the early 2000s. It was St. Louis's first foam jet party. You
Yeah.
know, so that was just really cool to see like an audience like full of people, and they were all in like bubble bath basically. Like I mean it was kind of gross later, but
Yeah, I'd imagine.
but
Yeah.
but it was just cool. Like, it was just something I never thought I would be doing, is like, DJing to a bunch of people in bubbles, so that was kind of a, once in a lifetime experience, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, from being an ex raver myself, I have to say ex raver because I don't do that much anymore.
Mhm.
I'd probably jump and blow my back out. So, but I
Getting
have to
Pop
say,
and lock,
man,
pop
old.
and lock your back.
yeah, I'd pop and lock my back pretty hard right there.
It's locked.
I'm like, I popped it.
I can only
Now
pop once.
I'm stuck in the lock position. Can
That's
anybody
right.
help me?
Permalock.
Uh, pop and locked basically because I'm locked. But yeah, being an ex raver at points, especially of course, uh, drugs during the earlier years. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I mean those fucking things. The energy at those places is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to ask, like, what is it like being behind and throwing out all this music, DJing this music out for people, and feeling that energy still, and you're the one, like, of course, most of the time I believe you're up there by yourself or maybe a couple other people.
Yeah. I would say like every time is different, you know. I mean, it really is like the Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolate, like DJing at clubs, DJing at raves. You really never know what you're gonna get. I mean, sometimes the people will really resonate with you. Sometimes there will be jerks. Sometimes people, will have their drinks too close to the gear.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
sometimes you get people making requests, for stuff that's, way far from what you would ever do. Sometimes it's really awesome, and everybody in the room is connected, and so it's cool to be responsible for that. Sometimes the sound equipment sucks. So it really, yeah, it really, really, really varies. The acoustics of different places are different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of variables. What time of night, who was before you, who's after you. Um, sometimes in more recent years, and I think part of why I got out of the DJing was like a lot of people just want to play on their phones more than they want to dance, and then that makes it harder for you might get a shy person that wants to dance, but
Yeah.
they're not going to be the first one, so then they don't dance it, so then everybody's just like not dancing at all until everybody gets really wasted, maybe then they will, or
I've
like
been to
some
clubs like that.
yeah, or sometimes they'll just dance long enough to take a selfie video, so that was one of the reasons I kind of got out, and I'm getting older. I don't enjoy staying up until 3 a.m. as much as I used to, so it's like packing all
Yeah.
the gear up, driving over to McAllen, you know, and then it could be a hit or miss kind of night, and
Yeah.
then it's the same thing, you pack it all up, drive all the way back, get back at 3 or 3:30. And being a professor, sometimes I would get up during the week at like 7, so that
Yeah.
it's just, I know it sounds old and lame, but yeah, it's harder to with the sleep schedule and everything, and so
I am
yeah.
also old and lame, so I feel you.
Yeah. This is probably the most interesting thing we do.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can
So,
all be lame together then. It's good to be among equals.
yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so this might be the most interesting thing you do, Octavio.
Oh.
But I play D&D, so.
Oh, okay, that's right. You guys play D&D. My bad. The most interesting I do is I probably don't play D&D. No, I'm kidding. Tabletop games are ridiculously fun. Sometimes I
Oh,
just with
I
the
there. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say with my attention span, sometimes I'm playing D&D, and the next thing you know, I'm looking off somewhere else, and somebody's just like, "Hey, where's Octavio?" Or my character's name, and they're just like, "He is not in the room. He has left the party." Then I come back, I'm like, "Why is everybody dead? What happened?" Like,
I don't know. Our healer went missing.
yeah,
That's funny.
the, the healer went off to go smoke some of that little healing bud. You know what I mean? But what were you gonna say,
Oh.
Chris?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, a few years ago, I was looking for a way to still make it work. So there was this record label I was really trying to get on, called All Day I Dream, because it's kind of like if you took like techno music or house music and mixed it with like hippie culture almost, like
Okay.
they're very, like they only have like daytime parties, and their songs are very, sunshiny, just flower power sounding techno, it's
Okay.
just real,
Okay.
real
Yeah.
good, real good vibes, and they threw parties during the day, um, partly because they didn't like that when they threw parties at night, the women were in danger a lot of the time,
Yeah.
like date rape, drugs, or getting followed back to their car, and creepy shit like that,
Yeah.
or there was more likely to be violence at nighttime parties and shit like that.
People get drunker at
Um,
nighttime parties too.
right,
So
and so they that label like only does daytime parties, and I really liked, the good vibes and stuff. So I tried to get on the label, but I never heard back. Like some record labels are really like if you don't know somebody on the label, then there's just no way, So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that was it, but labels are also really, really picky, So sometimes but even an artist that they accept that same time, the same artist will submit again, a few months later, and they'll be like, no, we don't want anything, like so. But anyway, yeah, if I could get on with something like that where it was daytime parties, I think that would be better, on several levels. So
Definitely see me at a daytime party because I could barely get past like if I'm not playing video games, I can't get
used
past
to
like
love
midnight.
when Yerb had their daytime shows. Their all ages Sunday
Oh, like the all
shows.
day thing.
Yes, I used to love
how
them.
long ago did they stop doing that?
Around COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There
Like,
was
they were still
there was
going
supposed to be
on.
one. Yeah, there was supposed to be one that me and Abby were gonna be at. One of the it was gonna be like an all day thing. I think it was that March thing. I forgot what it was called.
Ides of March.
Ides of March. Yeah, there you go.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
we're gonna read some poetry and do all that stuff there.
I
Yeah.
love I think it'd be awesome to play some techno music for some dancing kids. Like it'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I used to be a real big fan of techno. I still am. I'm just not too much in the scene. I don't really know what artists to look for and stuff like that, and I get very overwhelmed.
My
You know what I mean?
brother
Because there's
likes
so many
techno.
artists now.
Well, I'll give you recommendations whenever you want.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I'm always down. I listen to a lot of electronic music. It helps calm me. I like it.
Cool.
I mean, some of the bigger electronic artists. I listen to your Abby. Your lights on is blinding me.
Shush.
Some of the electronic artists I listen to now are like a mixture of stuff like I want to say like Phanogram, Crystal Castles, stuff like that. That's a lot of electronic I lean to at the moment. Portugal the Man seems to be going a little electronic, so I listen to them.
Yeah,
as well.
they're good too. Yeah.
Yeah, when you said indie electronic, my mind went straight to Portugal. I was like, hey,
yeah,
they sound like that sometimes.
Yeah, and I haven't listened to a lot of recent Portugal. I only heard Weird Al actually did a single with them recently.
Yeah.
For Indigenous Peoples Day. That's what it's called, right? Indigenous Peoples Day. Did I call
Yes.
it? Okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So
yes,
that'd be more politically correct one.
I believe in Indigenous Peoples Day. I just wasn't sure if I was calling it the right thing yet.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'm in support of the thing that I don't know the name totally yet. But
I totally support that thing that's going on that was supposed to be happening today, or was it yesterday? I don't remember, but I support it.
Yeah. Is it Indigenous people or people Indigenous? I don't know. But yeah, so Weird Al did a single with Portugal the Man. And then I like Phanogram too. I actually saw them when they came.
I love Phanogram.
Dene El Rey. And yeah, one of the collabs I'm working on, it's this man and a woman, and the band name is Rolls, like ROLES, and I actually met her through the marketing program, and I'm 99% sure she's from Australia. So like we're doing a collab.
Yeah.
Like I'm really fortunate to meet a lot of the people in the marketing thing that I'm going through, like because like they're just more likely to like come through. Like not hating on the Valley, but a lot of the people I worked with in the Valley, they're like, oh yeah, like I'll send you something, man. And then a year goes by. So I mean it's also been hard because of COVID, but yeah.
Because of COVID, and then like a big thing can be like a lot of motivation, motivators, and stuff like that. I know personally, I do occasionally try to collab with people because I've been trying to find. I personally been trying to find someone that can do like a beat to like spoken poetry. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to rap. I'm not trying to do anything specific. It's just like I'm just trying to put a beat to it, basically, give it more sound, basically, more feeling.
Yeah.
And trying to do that, and I run into the same issue sometimes where it's just like, oh yeah, I got this beat, I've heard you before, let me go ahead and I've heard you live before, let me go ahead and send it your way, and then poof.
Yep.
Off the magic dragon happens right there.
That's how it works. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much anyone I've ever tried to collab with down here.
Yeah. This is THC has been probably the furthest collaboration I've ever done with anybody, so that works.
like THC hates on the Valley.
THC is something.
All three of us are like gonna get deep shit.
No, it's completely. It's not the valley, guys. It's just raw, fucking flaky by nature. It's just how it is.
Uh,
I'm
Sometimes it's been me who's flaked out, like, to be honest. Like, oh God, what was it, 2016? Was that the year that we met,
I think so. Yeah.
RW?
Yeah.
And then like 2017, I just flaked the fuck out on everybody.
It happens. It happens. It's just
I
it's
had
it's not
somebody who
necessarily the
wanted to
valley. It's
do a
just
zine with me and
yeah.
had all kinds of other stuff going on, and then I just disappeared.
Yeah.
I pulled an
Yeah.
Octavio.
Yeah. Definitely. You definitely did pull
Sometimes
one.
life gets in the way.
Yeah, that's what it is. And life
Yep.
does usually just get in the way, and it happens that way. Like I pulled off a book deal, so that's
Yeah.
that was a pretty solid book deal coming. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go hole up in my cave for about a year. um, but Chris, with the techno deal, man, is it just techno that you usually stick on nowadays, or are you also trying to produce for other things like maybe hip hop artists or working on different types of techno and stuff?
I mean, I think it's like mostly electronic, but if somebody else is in something that's different, yeah, I'm willing to do a hybrid or help them out with that. Yeah, I mean, I was collabing on something that was definitely sounding pretty hip hop, but then I didn't hear back from that guy after we got, fairly, I guess, about halfway through finishing the song.
Yeah.
Um, and he knew rappers, so I don't know if he was gonna get like, because I think he had his own label, so I don't know if he was gonna planning on putting one of the rappers to it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think as far as genres go, I'm definitely more in limbo. I mean, it's usually at least a little electronic, but yeah, I've done Western stuff and with that, and then for the City of Mist, that was more like noir, like detective noir music.
Yeah.
That's
Which can be
super
tricky in
cool.
itself. Yeah, it's real cool, but it's be really tricky, I would think, to
Um,
produce it.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it was harder or easier than I expected. I mean, I use a lot of samples because I don't play like upright bass or anything or
Yeah.
saxophone. So some of those instruments, but yeah, I mean, I've done video game music a little bit and got paid for that, but like the video game never happened. So
Yeah.
I forget, because it was like an indie project, so I guess they ran out of funding or whatever. Um, but yeah, it sounds like most indie video games never happen. Um,
Yeah, it's a tough market out there for the indie games.
and yeah, so, and like I said, I've done ambient music and crossover electronica, type stuff, but yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing right now, like as far as the genres, because I'm like all over the place. Like,
Yeah.
some of my songs sound a little more like maybe Tame Impala minus the guitar and vocals, I guess, if you could
Yeah.
imagine that, or Washed Out minus the vocals.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
chill
Yeah.
chill wave, chill wave, I definitely do. I'm into that. So, but some people call everything techno. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if it has a synthesizer in it, they're like, oh, that's techno. Um, so yeah, it just depends on the definition too, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, just lots of different stuff, and and I don't even, yeah, the one I did for myself with vocals, again, I don't know what I would even call that, because it wasn't rock because it didn't have a guitar in it. So yeah, maybe it might have even been just pop, like, for lack of a better. you know, because I just did like synths and keyboards and vocals, and then I did drum samples of acoustic drums, and
Yeah.
you know, so
What would you say is your preferred, I guess, genre or subgenre of techno or electronica that you prefer to work with and stuff?
I definitely don't have one anymore. I mean, and I think at first that really bothered me because it was like, okay, I'm kind of sick of the dance music. And so I guess just like, yeah, you know, these days I'm into non-danceable electronic music in general the most. But my favorite artists that I like to listen to are different. You know, usually they'll have vocals and guitar. You know, so I mean, I really like Nine Inch Nails and Tame Impala.
Yeah.
You know, I guess if you've heard of Boards of Canada, like that's
Yeah. Yeah,
a
I've heard of them.
style that's a style and a mood that I shoot for pretty often. But again, I like nostalgia, lo-fi, psychedelic, you know, electronic music, and I guess I go back and forth between, you know, sometimes it's happy stuff and sometimes it's darker, angrier, sad, melancholy, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So the mood kind of changes, but yeah, I definitely like, yeah, lo-fi and psychedelic.
Yeah, for me personally, I do like the melancholy feeling because normally, like if I'm having like an anxious day or
Yeah,
I'm just real stressed out and stuff, put on some melancholy, some chill wave or something, just that sound is just something that's just calming. It's just calming.
yeah,
No distortion with the guitar, no heavy drums from a drum kit or something and
yeah,
stuff, and it just brings peace. And then there's the other days where I want to listen to something a little more upbeat, but I never go too crazy anymore. I never go crazy ass faster beats. I don't do like how I used to listen to like Dead Mouse all the time, like
yeah, yeah,
just constant, just right in your face, keep on
yeah.
going, going, going.
Yeah, the stuff I listened to when I was younger, it was like, I think the BPM was like 140, you know, like it
Oh,
was just really fast. Yeah, so it was like hard fast acid techno, you
yeah.
know,
Oh
a lot
man,
of the time.
acid techno, Jesus Christ, that
Yeah.
brought back flavors in my mouth. That triggered a
That
flavor
weird
response right
feeling
there.
in your jaw.
A weird feeling in my jaw, can't unclench it really. Pupils
Yeah,
really fucking dilated.
I'm familiar. I'm
Breathing
familiar.
really fucking fast, wondering why everybody's sitting down. We should be doing something. That's a mixture of something else too, my bad. But currently, man, what's your setup like? What's everything that you currently use? It doesn't have to be, we're not sponsored by any name brand, so don't worry about that. But like, what's your
I
current setup? What's the
have
most instruments you
I
use at the moment
have
in time?
two synthesizers, and one is kind of, I guess, a sequencer slash synthesizer. And then I have a sampler, sequencer, drum machine combo thing.
Hmm.
Um, I have an analog distortion unit. Um, and then I just have tons of software as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, MIDI keyboard, sound card, Mac monitors, all that. I've
Yeah, those
actually
MIDI
got,
keyboards.
yeah. I mean, my studio, it's in all the corners. It's full of fiberglass to like capture the bass so that the room doesn't like reverberate too much, you know. So that's like a cheap DIY way to make your studio sound a little tighter acoustically.
Interesting,
So
interesting. I always like the little intricacies, the little things you can do in the background, the science behind the things. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
I also got these drums, but I don't know. Like these are like festival drums,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know if I'll be using them in my music or not. You know, it's just something that I kind of thought would be fun. Um, and I always kind of wanted to try drumming circles anyway, but now with
Hmm.
COVID, that's not really an option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought like a festival drum pack that had three different sized drums. And then so yeah, on Friday night I was doing like a drum circle with my wife my stepson, and so we were having fun with that, and I think I think they're both a little intimidated by me, just like not, I don't think I'm that awesome, but they're they don't want to, if I say, hey, let's just jam out and just have fun, and nobody has to be good, no big deal, they're like but with the drums, because I don't have any experience with drums, like we were all on a level playing field, so that was really cool to just jam out with the drums, kind of like a family night kind of thing, and I think it was like a good bonding, therapeutic,
Yeah, that sounds like it.
so it's fun. So hopefully I continue to use them instead of them just collecting dust someday, hopefully.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I've always been me personally, I've always been intimidated by instruments. It's always been one of those things. So I've always been wanting to be like, maybe I should just jump in the electronics side so I can just press buttons and figure that little out. Because I feel like I'd have that concept a lot better than probably because I'm a tech guy. Like I'd rather deal with the electronics, the buttons, the outputs, and all that stuff than I would with the physical instrument.
Yeah.
Go into coding.
I probably will go into coding. That's why I'm going to IT school.
You might. Well, hey, let me show you this other thing I have that you might like. Hang on, I'll be right
back. He's taking a break for a moment to show me something on the video, guys. I'll describe it with the best description that I can.
Maybe.
Okay, so this is called an OP1, and it's a little over $1,000, so it's not like it's not a cheap hobby toy, but it's like it's kind of like having a miniature studio, like all in the little thing.
It's all condensed into one thing.
It has like amazing battery life, like 16 hours. It has synthesizers in it. You can sample in it. It has drum samples, so you can drum with it. It has a radio, and then you can sample from the radio. It's kind of like got it's like a digital emulation of a 4-track tape thing. So you can record loops in there, and you can take it anywhere you go. And then it's like NASA quality plastic.
Oh, nice.
So like you know that if you drop it, you're probably going to be okay. And it's also got a microphone input, so you could do the vocals in it if you wanted to. So I don't use it as much as I should, but yeah, I really enjoy it when I do, and it's good. If you want to bring a sketch pad with you on a trip or whatever, and but yeah, a lot of hipsters, they'll like save up for these, and then they like the challenge of just making like a full track just on this. The other appeal of it is it's like it doesn't get like really deep like the way that the software or a lot of synthesizers or sequencer would, so it's even though it's a serious tool, it's more like a toy. Like, I don't know, it's a good, I guess it's a good happy medium between a serious tool and like a fun toy, so
it's a good, like, if you have the money, it's a good starter and a more advanced as well.
Yeah, and then you can, and if you want, which is what I do, you can, like, once you get tracks going on there, you can bounce the individual stems to the software, So I'll start something on there, and then finish it on my computer,
Interesting. So it's like an all-in-one type of thing.
Yeah, it's fun though. It's a fun little toy. So
yeah, all that stuff's always looked fun for me, like the producing and like making beats and all that stuff. All that stuff has seemed very interesting to me for quite a while, and I'm debating whether I should start doing that, especially with my poetry stuff now and going towards that hip hop section and stuff.
Yeah. You might also like the Digitact as well. I'm gonna try to hold this up without making the cables go, but it's kind of this side view.
Yeah, I've seen one of those. I had a buddy that worked.
Yeah, it's really good and fun for making beats, and and it's cheaper than the other one. So it's still like $600 probably, but it's really cool. for like chopping up beats, and you could record things into it, and has effects on it and stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah, man, it really sounds, since you've been in that career path for quite a while when it comes to that music, it sounds like you have a good knowledge base in it, man. But with the human condition, see, I threw it in, Abby, finally after 3 episodes. With the human
Been a
condition,
while. Been a
I do
while.
like to ask, how does this music, like, what does this do for you personally, like for yourself, like what does music do
Right,
for you? What's the
right,
creating and stuff?
right. I think I knew the answer to that question a lot more when I was younger, and now that I'm older, I've been asking myself that question
Mm-hmm.
all over again. So when I was younger, um, I had more issues and I was insecure and less emotionally intelligent and all that stuff, so it was, when I was younger, it was like, it was an escape. But it was also like, get chicks and be cool and, and get rich and get famous and all that, and I just wanted to be the cool guy, and I was picked on a lot in K through 12, so it was like, after you have a lot of people treating you like nobody, you want to be somebody,
Yeah.
so I think that was the thing. It was like, and I could relate to artists, because a lot of them, like Nine Inch Nails is probably my favorite all time of any genre,
Yeah.
and so just that, angst and anger, and obviously, he felt like, society, like he was on the outside of society, like there were a lot of
Right.
songs where he didn't fit in, so I could relate to that. And I think now that I'm older, I'm married, so I don't want any chicks from it, obviously, anymore. And I don't have that need, as quite as much to be the cool guy. I mean, I still think, a little fame might be okay, but at the back of my mind, I know it probably wouldn't make me any happier. I'm
Yeah.
already relatively happy with my life. It's the same with finances. Like I do fine from teaching at community college. Like I'm not rich, but I do well. So I think like it's now, the reason I do it is more out of habit. Like I've been
Yeah.
doing it so long that it just feels like, well, no, you can't stop now. Like that's who you are. You've put so much time into it and stuff like that. So I think I'm looking for a way to pivot and kind of like make it more meaningful again, like in a healthier way.
Yeah.
But and I think, and the one thing I have figured out lately is like when collabs actually do work out, it's more rewarding for me, because then, I was able to share something like with another person instead of just dragging myself into my solitary confinement, which is my studio. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because
Yeah. Yeah.
after 20 plus years, that's what it became. It was like me dragging myself and saying, well, you can't quit. If you quit, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I think I'm trying to make it into a little more spiritual, a little more self therapy, and a little more collaborative. Kind of trying to make it to where my music is a release from my life, instead of, I think for a long time I had it backwards. I had it to where, my life was a release from my music, because
Yeah.
like I said, the studio kind of becomes another full-time job, or a chore. If you're not careful, it's like, all right, I gotta make another song, and I gotta learn another thing, and I gotta practice my scales, and fuck, like, and
Yeah.
it gets monotonous if you're not careful. Um, so yeah, I think it's a long answer, but yeah. So I don't have as much of a solid answer on what it means to me now. But the things that used to appeal to me, like the vanity and the being somebody, I think I've just, with age, I've realized that everybody's somebody already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if you're never famous. It doesn't matter if you're successful by American standards. you're already somebody right now, you know, you don't need to prove anything to anybody else. And so I think the other thing is I would like to someday be able to help people with my music somehow.
Yeah.
Whether it was just songs that people can relate to, or songs that make people feel good, or, you know, spa music, or, you know, if ambient music helps people chill out, or even like getting into music therapy, like in an,
Yeah.
you know, something like that, or just helping other people, you know, achieve their vision. You know, like you want music for your stuff, so, you know, I like helping people in that way, where, you know, if they need music. And it was fun working, you know, for the role playing game. It was fun working with the directors and the filmmakers and stuff for the Western. And yeah, so yeah, collaboration, helping people, spiritual stuff,
Yeah.
therapy,
Sharing
therapeutic.
your
So
talent around and stuff
yeah,
like that
but
too. Yeah.
I'm definitely still figuring that out. You know, I'm like, okay, if it doesn't mean that to me as much anymore, what is it going to mean now? You know?
Yeah. So
So
you're like in between where you're just trying to find the purpose behind it again.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the collaboration and the learning about marketing has been fun. Meanwhile, so
Well,
yeah,
that's great, man. You're at least learning something out of it, and that's what I strongly usually that's what I usually strongly believe in when when it comes along to when you're doing an art or you're doing something that you once loved or either still love. It's always good when it's giving some returning effect in some sense. Like if
hmm
you're trying to find a purpose for
Don't
yourself and you're trying to find a purpose to move forward and try to make it and try to use your talent to help others as well, finding a
yeah,
better
yeah,
meaning for yourself and stuff like that.
definitely.
And that's definitely great to hear that, man. It's a you don't have a lot of that around nowadays. You got a lot of vanity right now, especially during
Yeah,
COVID. It's not a
yeah,
bad thing at the moment because it tells you think about your family, think about yourself, and
yeah,
people of course are thinking about themselves and stuff like that. And it's good that you want to be able to turn your music into something else, especially therapy, man. Like music is a lot of people's escapes. Like
yeah,
it
there's a lot
is.
of people's escape. I when first thing I do when I'm getting in a mood or I'm having a day is I turn on my music. It's simple as that.
yeah,
And it's what helps get the either it calms me or it helps the calming process
yeah, yeah,
begin basically.
yeah. And
And
that's
that's
something
great.
I've had to rediscover too. Is like I usually make so much music or work on music so much, or practice or study or whatever, study music stuff, that that I don't want to listen to it anymore. You know,
Yeah.
so I've had to like cut back on the practicing and the studying and the cracking the whip, you know, on
Yeah.
myself, and give myself and list. So listening to other people's music, it was always a good way to like refill my batteries. Whereas
Yeah.
making my own kind of depletes me a lot of the time. Um, so yeah, I struggle to make time for that, but it is really therapeutic when I do it, you know. So yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where sometimes I have to read or listen to poetry before I write my new like a new piece or something. Sometimes you gotta, and sometimes when I don't even want to listen to poetry because I do poetry, so I'm kind of just like I don't feel
right,
like reading poetry,
right,
especially when you're surrounded by it. But
yeah.
sometimes you forget about the benefits that it can. But with you saying that, I do have to ask, do you because I had a friend of mine that was in Austin. He was a music teacher as well, and he would always complain to me about a specific problem they had when listening to other artists' music. He was always saying how he couldn't stop himself from being critical about it, like
Oh,
whenever he listened to music and stuff like that.
I think the bar has gotten higher, but I don't know if that's always because I'm being critical of the music. It's just as you get older, I think it takes more and more to surprise you if if you're doing the same thing. You know, that's why it's
Yeah,
important. That's why it's important to get out of your comfort zone. You know, music is my comfort zone. So the more I listen to music, there's fewer and fewer musicians and artists that can surprise me.
yeah,
You know, because I think it's hard to, you know, innovate, and it's hard to innovate in a way that's accessible. You know, which is why a lot of people just imitate. You know, and there's nothing wrong with imitation, but when you're almost 40 like me, You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you know, it's just it's harder to find new things. And so I think that's why, you know, I found an appreciation for newer things that I never made time for, you know, like a I guess it was like a year ago or maybe 2 years now. You know, my wife and I, we went to on this winery tour, well, several winery tours in California. Um, and you know, that was kind of like the main event, but then we
Yeah.
went to all these really beautiful parks, and I've never been, you know, like much of a national parks kind of guy. You
Yeah.
know, it was like, oh yeah, I'll get around to that someday, but it just wasn't, you know, like I got to make music or I got to go to the gym or, you
Yeah.
know, and I wasn't into traveling that much either because it just always seemed like a hassle. But I think because I avoided the national parks for so long, now they're this new, exciting, surprising thing, you know,
Yeah.
because it's just something that I never even really gave it a chance before, you know, where, yeah. So that's maybe a longer answer than you wanted, but yeah, it's harder to be surprised when I've been listening to music forever, you know, so.
Yeah, I totally get you there. It's always like you said, you need to get out of the comfort zone or you need to get out of your familiarity of stuff. Like you're better surprised when you come across this stuff years later because you haven't paid attention to it or you haven't done it in so long. How you were
Yeah,
saying with the national parks. Yeah, I feel you. It's something I never used to be on the same vein. I never used to be one that used to take hikes and stuff like that
right.
until I
Yeah,
was in Central Texas and I got older and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a walk and I finally did it and I was like, oh my God, like what the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah,
But you get to experience things with a fresh perspective,
right,
and
right.
that's always a good thing to go through with. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, don't worry about the long answers and stuff like that, man. That's perfectly fine because that gives a lot of gives a lot of detail in who you are and it shows that it gives that you give a lot of thought to it. You know. And giving a lot of thought to things is definitely something that a lot of people don't do sometimes.
True.
And we definitely need to give a lot of thought to stuff. But speaking of giving thoughts to stuff, we are nearing the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. So I do want to jump into our philosophy question here and see Chris Richardson's. Well, I'm fucking stuttering here. See Chris Richardson's answer on this week's philosophy question. There you go. Sorry.
Got it out
um,
there.
I got it out there. Jumping straight into it and stuff, Chris. The philosophy question I have here, it's going to be in your opinion. It's what you think it is, and if you honestly don't know at the moment, by all means, that's
Okay.
that's whatever. You know what I mean? So, my question for you, man, is what actions in your life will have the longest reaching consequences, and how long do you think those effects would be felt?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
Wow.
I can
Well,
give
I
my
get let's start with the regrets before I get into the stuff I'm proud of. That way we end on a better note.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
I mean, I think yeah, in my late 20s and early 30s, I I was a fuck boy. You know, like I'm not sure if I'm using that term correctly, but yeah, or playboy. Um,
No, I think fuckboy is probably a correct term there.
okay, okay. So yeah, you know, I mean, I wouldn't lie like outright about my intentions. Like, you know, so if a girl flat out asked me like, "Oh, are you just trying to get in my pants and that's all you want?" You know,
Yeah.
like I would have, you know, told them the truth, you know, like probably, but yeah, like they usually didn't ask, and so I was just selfish, and yeah, I think I was too selfish to even think about or even care that I was leading a lot of women on, and you know, so
Yeah.
I think I think I yeah, I think I made a lot of women like men a lot less. So I think that's my I think to this day there's probably like some husbands out there getting shit from their wives, you know, just because I made them think men are assholes.
Men is too headache.
So they're holding, you know, I mean, maybe that's giving myself too much credit, but so there's that. That's definitely a regret. Long-reaching consequences. I think with my teaching, I think that has had like positive and negative, you know, because I've had victories and I've had failures as a teacher. I've had times when I felt like I really reached a student and I made a positive difference in their life, but I've also had times when I felt like I failed a student by, you know, like biting their head off a little bit or shaming them a little bit, or, you know, and so there might have been a few students that, you know, once they took my class and, you know, and once I made them feel like shit for, you know, not being motivated or not being on top of their assignments, you know, and I wouldn't usually target like one student, you know, it'd be like the whole class, you know, I'd just be like, none of you guys brought your rough drafts today. What the fuck are you doing in college? You know, like, it kind of like that, you know, where, and in my brain at the time, I thought, oh, this is a good thing I'm doing because it's tough love, you know, but there wasn't, you know, I think you need to have, you know, try to have compassion in the short term and in the long term, not just like be brutal in the short term in hopes of being compassionate in the long, you know what I mean? Like,
I totally get you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I believe in tough love as much as I used to. Positive. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with my stepkids. You know, I feel like I've had victories and had mistakes with them. Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering how they'll turn out when they get even older. I already see my stepson is like way too fucking argumentative, which I guess teenagers are like that anyway, but I think he got a little more of that from me because I was definitely more argumentative up until a year or two ago, maybe. I've grown out of that a little bit, or I hope I have. So, I mean, I've helped out with, you know, donating to charities and volunteering. So I hope that can make a difference in the long term and not just in the short term. I've recently helped out the children's home, Sunny Glen in Harlingen. So they help out kids who they're not orphans because, you know, their parents still exist, but their parents are abusive or have issues or have drug problems or going to jail or prison for a little while or aren't allowed to see their kids for a little bit. So, you know, I think a fair amount of the time the kids actually get returned to their parents again, and then sometimes they go back into the home, you know. But I've helped them out with donations and stuff recently. We're not allowed to see the kids yet, like they're not allowed to be exposed to the public with the COVID still. So I hope that, you know, and they're not even allowed to go out for Halloween or do anything outside of the home. So I hope that, you know, like I donated decorations and board games, and my former secretary made some decorations for them that I paid for, and so I'm hoping that like brightens up their Halloween party that they're gonna have a little bit. So yeah, plug for that. So yeah, donate to Sunny Glen Children's Home, because they might have a shitty Halloween if you don't. or they might, or if you're hearing this later, they might have a shitty Christmas. So, you know, like your money can help kids get gifts and stuff. And kids that are going through some hard shit, you know, like being separated from their drug addicted parents. Like that's not a life that I would wish on any child or, you know, any adult even, you know, like.
Yeah, most definitely. And especially with kids. And I like how you mentioned teaching as well. Like one thing I always do remember as I got older, I always remembered like teachers. And for some reason, I always remembered teachers that were impactful in some way, whether negative or positive and such. And it does make a difference, and that does have a long-lasting effect. And then save with the Sunny Glen and stuff. Like those little donations and stuff. I used to work in a facility like that. It was in
Oh,
Austin.
okay.
And those donations, yeah, we'd have the anonymous donations and stuff, or the donators can meet the kids, but of
Yeah.
course due to COVID and stuff,
Right.
and that brings a lot of joy, and that
Yeah.
brings a lot of, especially working with those kids. It'd be months later, and they'll be like, "Oh, remember that time let's say Mr. or Mrs. like donated
Yeah.
this, and we've been having so much fun since then," and it gives a good impact, lets them have a good experience, even though they may be in an unfortunate event
Right.
or situation and stuff. It gives them a positive experience. It gives them something to remember that life isn't all that bad. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
yeah, I can definitely vouch that those have long lasting effects, man. And and definitely being a teacher definitely does have long lasting effects, especially in college when it comes to certain careers and stuff. Like it's you'll always remember that one specific teacher, whether it be good or bad and stuff. So
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's a good point. There's definitely good ones and bad ones. Yeah. I probably would have been a journalist without a really bad teacher. She just ruined it. Like I would like yeah. And it was this thing where we could do like we did junior year of high school and we were expected to be on the newspaper again senior year of high school. So like leaving junior year, she was like, "Oh, so you're gonna do it again next year, right, Chris?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it again next year." I didn't do it. I just like I have no regrets or apologies about being cowardly, because at least at that point in time, yeah, she was kind of a monster, and hopefully she's grown up a little bit, but yeah,
yeah,
not
man.
not a good experience. So, but yeah, the last thing is just yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope my music has a positive effect on people and brings some people joy, and it's a shame that I don't think of it from that angle, more often. I think most of the time I'm just thinking I need to make something good,
Yeah.
and I need to get recognized for all the work that I've done, and which is why I need to continue to strive and do something good. But yeah, music really is about, you know, giving joy to people, or yeah, or helping people think more deeply about art, or something like that. It transforms people in some way, and I don't think about that as often as I should. So
Yeah, but it's also because I mean, every artist suffers from the artist strife, which is we are our biggest critic. It's
critic,
it's
yeah,
something it's something that we're
This
always going to
is
deal with.
true.
yeah,
We're always going to think our stuff isn't the best, even if it helps one person. But if it helped one person, that's still one person. You know
that's
what I
true.
mean? And it's
Yeah,
definitely one of those things that we are the biggest critic. We do shame ourselves and put ourselves down more than give ourselves credit. You know what I mean? For like
yeah,
every one credit we give ourselves, we point out four fucking mistakes.
yeah. Well, and the success is never enough, because I think, I think I am at a point where, I mean, I don't have a ton of fans online, but I have some,
Yeah,
and when I was 20, I would have been happy to have some, and
yeah,
now that I have some, it's not enough, and now, so it's like I'm figuring out the marketing so that I can get more, because, you know, because I
Is it
feel like,
ever enough though?
no, it's not,
yeah,
and that, and Jim Carrey actually did this speech, like it was, he was the person giving away the award,
yeah.
and so when the announcer introduced Jim Carrey to walk over to the podium, he was like, two-time award-winning Jim Carrey, and he's like, man, yes, that is me, two-time award-winning Jim Carrey, and if I get number 3 someday, I will finally feel as if I'm enough, like,
Yeah.
and he was, making fun of all, I think, all artists, the way we
Yeah,
all are. We're chasing this thing that, we're never gonna get. So
yeah,
yeah, I think, I mean, I think some artists are able to just enjoy it and be in the moment. But I'm not one. Even as I'm making a song, I'm like, oh, this might be a hit, and this might, get me fans,
yeah.
but I'm aware enough to at least go, like, stop that, don't do that.
Like just it's good
Yeah,
enough to at least tame it down, to
yeah,
at least have it there and just be like, all right, good dog.
right.
Just wait. We'll see.
Yeah.
Definitely do that parenting thing where it's always just like, we'll see.
Self-parenting. Yeah. The adult is driving the car now.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Um, but yeah, let me go ahead and we'll go ahead and end the episode, man, and stuff like that. It was great having you on, man. Thanks for your wonderful answer on the philosophy question.
That's fun.
We definitely got in there, and I feel like I got to know you more as a person in such a short time span, man. Like it's great that you're so self introspective when it comes to a lot of the things you do, and the art that you're involved in.
Thank you.
So I do want, and I want to thank you for also putting music out there. I'm a big audiophile, and so music being there is definitely one of those things I like the most. And I thank all the artists that put any type of music out there because you're helping somebody. You know what I mean? Real quick before we exit out, do you want to plug in your social medias where people can find you, your web pages, SoundClouds, anything?
Yeah, I don't have them all memorized though. I'm like, can I look them up? Let me see here. Yeah, I guess the easiest one is just christopherthomasrichardson.com, and you can find the other links through that. So
okay, it leads all to your
Instagrams
or social medias and stuff.
Yeah. Am I still sharing my video? Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so what was it? You said Christopher Thomas Richardson?
christopherthomasrichardson.com. That'll take you to my Bandcamp, and then my Bandcamp has links to my other stuff. So
awesome, man. I want to thank you once again for your time. Chris, thanks for joining us here on THC and stuff, man. We really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your artistic viewpoint on stuff. I do want to thank everybody else out there listening on online radio station land. I would say Radio Land. Well, that makes sense. Fuck it. Everybody listening on Radio Land, wherever the fuck you're listening from. I want to thank you guys.
I say Radio Land on my DJ show every single time.
Well, there you go, Radio Land. DJ show, Abby, what times?
I DJ on Saturdays and Mondays from 2 to 4.
Saturdays, Mondays from 2 to 4. You'll listen to Abby Bot on the radio waves, RGV Titan. RGVTitanRadio.com. Almost forgot the whole thing I spew out every week. but on that note,
RGVTitan.com. We are the 956.
Yeah, there you go. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to bid you adieu. Thank you, Abby Bot, for being a wonderful co-host.
Thank you, Majay.
Once again, Chris, thank you so much for being a part of this, man. Really appreciate your time, taking out the time to listen to me ask all these fucking questions.
No problem.
But thank you so much, man. I want to thank the listeners out there. And you guys have been listening to THC. That's the Human Condition here on RGVTitanRadio.com, where we are the 956. And we will see you guys next week. That works. Fred will just edit that other part out. That works from there. Let me go ahead and click stop recording.